How's it going, everyone? Foxxy here, and I'm going to bring you another controller review. And actually, I have two versions of this controller, which I'll show you in detail in just a second. But first off, for those who don't know, what I've been doing is reviewing third-party controllers from the cheapest I could find and going more expensive each controller, just to see if it's even possible to find one equally as good or greater than the Sony DualShocks. Alright? So here is both versions of the Air-Flo controller by Power A. The one on the left is the basic version, and the one on the right is the Medal of Honor Warfighter Limited Edition version. The only differences between the two are that the Limited Edition has red LEDs instead of blue, and the faceplate is different. It has a high gloss, kind of sandy type look to it, and it also comes with collectible pins, which are right here. I'm going to have it focus in. See? 4 pins. Alright, so with that out of the way, you can find the basic controller somewhere around 25 bucks, but I think you can find it cheaper, and this version costs a little bit more. I got it for 30 bucks. Now, other than that, they function exactly the same. There's nothing different about the controllers performance-wise. So first off, let's take a look at the design here. And I'll be focusing more on the limited edition version too, by the way, just because. And, well, it's without a doubt much bigger than the Sony one, and it does fit in the hands quite nice too. It also feels pretty durable. I don't see this one breaking anytime soon, except one thing. I'm a little worried about the analogs. There's just... they don't really have any tension at all. I worry because I could see them developing like some sort of issue in the next couple months or so. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. It's just a little observation. It also has this slightly softer kind of grippy material on the handles, but honestly, unless you have like small hands or something, you're not even going to notice them because your hands barely touch this material to begin with, so it's kind of a waste. The face buttons are really good. I don't have one single complaint about them. Even the shoulder buttons and the triggers are really well made. And they also have this concave shape to them so that your fingers won't accidentally slip off them, which is always nice, I guess. Now, the directional pad works alright. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but comparing it to the previous third-party controllers I've used, for whatever reason I don't really know, I like this one the least. The analogs are like the 360s, them being offset and concave. I know I've said this before, but I'm just so much not a fan of this style at all. I know plenty of people who do prefer them like this, and that's just fine. I'm not going to complain about it. It's just not for me. And now that I'm on the topic of analogs, what's kind of odd is that when using them to message people and navigate the XMB, it's incredibly unresponsive. But if I'm playing a game navigating like the menus in those or doing whatever the hell else, it works perfectly fine. So I don't know, it's just really kind of bizarre. Also, the analogs with this controller still have that problem of just being too damn sensitive. However, they're not as bad as other third-party controllers I've used. The Air-Flo controller has a little bit less sensitivity than the others do. And this is good because it allows you to make much more precise movements when you're aiming, or just looking around in like a shooter game, for example. I think I could actually use this controller if I absolutely had to. Now bear in mind, I still wouldn't want to use it over the Sony one by a long shot, but you know what? At least it's tolerable. And like I did with the last two controller reviews, here's a gameplay showing an example of how the analogs are on this controller, and then I'll show the Sony one right after to compare. The light up feature is kind of neat. It's not distracting or anything, and you can turn it on or off if you want just by pressing this button right here. And now that I think about it, the lights on the handles are kind of pointless because when you hold the controller, your hands are going to pretty much cover them up completely. Although I must say I do prefer the blue ones on the basic controller over the red. It just looks significantly better to me. Alright, so moving on to the fan feature, I don't get like sweaty hot hands or anything, but I didn't really notice that much of a difference from both the low or high setting. I mean, I even took a piece of paper to the vents on the handles just to see how powerful the fan was, and it couldn't even move a thin sheet of paper. And you know what? I actually have an old controller like this for the GameCube, right here. And it's a million times more effective, and I think the reason is because the one I have here, not only do I think the fans are more powerful, but the handles have more openings for the air to vent out of. So if you have like a problem with your hands getting hot or sweaty while playing, I don't really think this feature is going to help much at all. I mean, you may get like a slight difference, but nothing really significant enough to cool off your hands. And that's pretty unfortunate since this seems to be the main selling point of the controller. Alright, so to wrap up here with my final thoughts on the Air-Flo controllers, they are mostly positive. I mean, it's a quite good controller even though the sensitivity on the sticks aren't the greatest, and still nowhere near the quality of the DualShocks. They are for the most part usable. If you don't play shooters or games where you need the analogs to be great, this is actually a really good alternative. Now, for those of you who do need a third-party controller for whatever reason and do need the analogs to be good, I'd say this is a pretty decent alternative. Not great, but I mean, it's definitely the best out of the 3 controllers I've reviewed so far, so I guess that's saying something. And with that said, guys, thanks for watching.